Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Infused Transitions. I am wanting to cover a few quick things with you guys before I actually begin the reading and explain why it's already laid out. So first of all, for those of you who are returning, thank you. I so appreciate you, and I'm so glad you're here. For those of you who are new, welcome. We are so glad that you have joined us, and we hope that you subscribe and stay. So before I get going too far, if this resonates with you and you feel so inclined, don't forget to hit that like button, as that helps get this information out to others who may benefit from it. And then don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell, as the bell lets you know when new content has been uploaded. All of my readings are timeless, so whenever you find it is the right time, whether I refer to, the day or the week or month or whatever when I'm recording it or not, it doesn't matter, because when you find it, that's when it's for you. Of course, as always, take what resonates, leave the rest. And okay, so, and one last thing, I am an intuitive reader, which means that I just read the stories as the information comes to me, that the cards unfold for me, and the messages that get channeled through. So what I share may or may not be what you would find in the books that come with the various decks I use. Okay. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. So before I get going into the reading itself, I just wanted to do a quick little explanation. I'm not going to go into all of it because you can click in the pinned portion of the comment section here, hopefully, if I figure out how to do that. A link that will take you to part 1 in this little 3-part mini series that will explain about the amazing reader that I use. Her name is Shy. She has an Etsy shop, and her channel are both called Evermind Oracle. I would definitely recommend checking her out. But this whole mini series came about from my personal session with her. I just really felt prompted to share what ended up being my own readings, 3 separate readings for myself, because I really had it shared with me through my team that this was a mini series that other fellow Hadarians may relate to and may get their own little gems of information that would be helpful for them in their journey, as well as for people all overall. So again, it's not only for Hadarians. It all came about through aspects of my reading, and a part of that came forward had to do with some different things about my Hadarian self. So with all that said, if you would like more explanation, or if you want to start with the first reading, this is the second, go to the comment section first, click that link, and it'll take you to the part 1, and then you can come back here to part 2, and hopefully I'll be able to get the part 3 recorded and uploaded and linked all today as well. So now we're going to get going. Okay, so first of all, I did want to say this deck that I am using for this portion is the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. I forgot to say that on the last one, but I did put it in the description box, what deck I used on the last one. Okay, so we're picking up here where the other reading had left off. This is already spread out because, again, this was a personal reading for me. Normally when I'm just coming in to do a regular reading, I, shuffle and get the cards in the moment that I'm recording. But that's why these cards are already laid out, was because it was for me. So I will now share the messages that came through, and if any of it resonates with you, fantastic. Hopefully you'll be able to gain your own little bits of jewels out of the information. So where the other one left off with was me having quite a few aha moments, and new perspective, new understanding that I gained from my session with Shy. And then I just kind of got a little bit more information about it in the first reading. This reading starts out with the fact that all of this new perspective, this new understanding, and even the next few steps to take in the process of my progress for my ascension and evolution, is creating a huge victory for me, and in not just one but several victories for me, and on so many levels. Where a lot of people can see this as this card specifically as conflict or even collaboration, for me this was speaking about taking up the reins of being the leader. And for those fellow people that are they're still trying to figure out certain things, that again, by sharing wisdom, sharing understanding, sharing our own journeys, you never know what you might say or share that can click that aha moment for someone else. So it's about helping them go from this space of either conflict or chaos, or even, we're trying to figure it out, but we're all just kind of bumping into each other, right? We're trying to collaborate, but we're just bumping into each other and getting in each other's way, and helping them to be able to figure out how to work with their wand, if you will, in a way that is beneficial for them, in a way that is aligned for them as each individual. Yeah, so it's just interesting. It's interesting. And again, part of that part one was about the whole separation of the masculine and feminine within my own self, that individuation, right? And this is about figuring out how to be an individual in a balanced, healthy way first, so that when we come together in unity and as one, each coming in is already balanced and aligned within the self, so that when we're coming together, we're not coming together in conflict, in chaos, in mix-up, in all of that kind of energy. So the victories here bring in possibilities and opportunities for others. It's also about stepping into our high priestess energy, so tuning into our gifts, our talents, our wisdom, our knowledge from wherever and whenever. So whether it's this lifetime or several other ones, it's about, again, keeping balance, right? Keeping things in a state of balance. We can create abundance from our already attained abundance of wisdom, knowledge, truth, accuracy, gifts, talents, skills, abilities, our tools, right? For me specifically, I found it very significant this time that the moon is at her feet. And this relates back to things for me from part one, where with my session with Shy, there was this new understanding of just how separate I have kept my emotions and my feminine self from having a voice, from processing those emotions, because one, because of this whole, I came here to learn about separateness, right, and individuation, and it kind of went way haywire. but also because there's been several lifetimes, including this one, where to allow myself to be feminine, to allow myself to truly function within my feminine energies, within my emotions, I have high doubts that I would have survived, whether that's physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Many of the experience I have had, I don't think I would have been able to survive them or been able to come out intact in my own self if I would have allowed myself to experience my emotions. And because it's such a tiny moon, I don't know the phases of the moons, but because it's such a tiny moon, to me, this is saying this is how much I have shrunk it down. And, it might be a little messy when I have to start taking that out and dealing with it, but deal with it I will, right? This then takes me over to here, which again, a lot of people, this is a card of, in traditional, among other things, it can mean things that which are hidden. It can mean conflict. For me, it is talking about things that are hidden, which are my feminine side, my emotions with my feminine side. Because again, when I'm doing my healing work, when I am sharing and I'm channeling and all of that, that's me being in my feminine side, right? But that's about the only time I ever let her come out. But again, to me, it's like, wow, yeah. So, and also in that other reading, I talked about the great severing was a card within that. And again, it's like there's this division line, which just like it was in that card over there and the other one. And again, for me, it's like, here's the dog, here's the coyote, right? Dogs to me are very loyal. They're very much they're a pack animal, right? So they're used to community. They're usually, when they're balanced and everything, they're quite happy. They're very joyful. And then we have what to me would appear to be like the coyote. The coyotes to me are very lone wolf type energy, unless there's a reason to come together to hunt as a pack. But again, to me, that's very much, masculine and feminine energy. And then we have, this lobster, and it's a purple lobster, which just for me, and the purple lobster is coming out of the water. Well, the water is emotion, and I feel like it's the peacekeeper who ain't gonna put up with any crap. You get out of line, and I'm gonna pinch you. I don't care if you're the masculine or the feminine. Let's keep it a clean fight kind of thing. Let's keep, and not even a fight. Let's keep it out of a fight and keep it into productive evolution, productive ascension, right? And just like in life, when we step out of that, right? I'm going to give you just a little tweak, not because it's a punishment, but it's just an outcome, right? And I think that's one of the things that I know I had to learn. I don't know where anyone else is at, but I really had to learn and understand, and again, change my perception and my understanding that it's not about punishment. It's not about punishment. It's not like, universe, God, source, spirit, most high, whatever that is for you, is up there just waiting for you to make a mistake to slam you down, right? I mean, that's what a lot of us were taught, but it took me a long time to realize that's not actually true. It is simply changing the perspective, having new understanding, right? That's actually, it's just the outcome of choices and decisions that I made. And yes, there are times when choices and decisions of other people have a direct or indirect effect on us. But again, it's how do we react or choose to respond in those kinds of settings, right? Reacting being something that is out of balance and is just a knee-jerk reaction versus response, which is coming from a more advanced perspective, way of being kind of thing. So this journey has been very much about shifting and changing my perspectives, being open to having new understanding along the way. That doesn't mean it's always been things that I've wanted to learn about myself or that I liked about myself, but the beauty was is once it came to my attention, I now know what to do. I frequently say to people that I work with or just in conversation, yes, knowledge is power, but action is empowerment, right? Action is what is going to put me back into my own empowerment. And I also found it interesting that not only is this about the sun and the moon coming together, right? Masculine, feminine, but shining a light on what is hidden. The sun being behind the moon is illuminating all of these things that have been hidden from me, that I hid from myself, because I just wasn't in a place and space where I could, in a healthy way, or even was ready to look at these things and address these things. So this is huge for me. Again, I realize a lot of people look at this as a card of somebody who's being sneaky or thieving, or just walking away. To me, it's like, yeah, I took all this learning and this new perspective, and I went in, and so I guess at first you're going to think I put these in the wrong order, but hear me out. At first, I went into hermit mode, okay, because I needed to process. I needed time down to integrate, to understand, and to just kind of catch my breath, breathe in and out, relax with this new understanding, and then, make my plans of what am I going to do with this? How am I going to change this? How am I going to work with this to advance my evolution, my growth, my ascension, my expansion, right? My understanding. However, the reason that this one came out first to me and how I received it was because, yes, I went into this mode. Well, here's the thing though. Thank you, Shai. Through her reading with me, I understood that basically my feminine side has been in the hermit cave for many, 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 many lifetimes, millennia, right? But I'm ready to come out of that. And that's what I'm working on is, she said, coaxing her to come out of that hermit cave, and as my norm versus only coming out when I do healing work, right? Only coming out when I need the feminine side to do channeling, coaxing her out so that she can leave that cave, and then just walking away from the disconnection between my masculine and feminine, not as in, just not letting it dictate anymore. Meaning, walking away from it in that way, walking away from it, learn what there is to learn, understand it, and then keep moving, right? Which I think is important in, all of our processes of our growth, right? Doing all of this work. So all of that information from part one, and then doing all of this as it unfolds, right? And I guess here's the important thing too. They keep drawing my eye to, the is it Mercuba? Some people say Mercuba, some people say Mercuba, but that, I don't have to know all the answers of what is it going to look like when she comes out, and what is it going to look like when I'm fully fused and grounded and truly in a relationship with Gaia, and I truly am back into being connected and united within myself of masculine and feminine. I don't need to know all of that. All I need to know is the one step that I need to do, one step at a time, right? So it's not getting hung up in all of that and then going, it's too hard, I can't do it. Well, yeah, because you're trying to do all of this and think you're just going to do it all at once, and it's not like that. It's you do one step, and when you accomplish that, you move to the next one, and accomplish that, and you move to the next. It's how it works, right? But all of this is bringing in opportunities for me. This is also about healing my money story. So again, this is a very personal reading, but a lot of people don't realize that the frequency and energy and, you know, the vibrations of love and of money are very, very, very similar, and they frequently, right, work simultaneously. They work side by side when they're balanced, when they're healthy. Again, right, this coming together. Love, feminine, money, masculine. Do we see the constant pattern happening here, and how this particular thing I wanted to learn has had such broad and far outreaching ripple effects, right? When things are balanced aligned, it works very easily, right? But when things are all benched and mashed, they just don't jive. They just can't come together. But doing this work has shifted this for me. It's new opportunities. It's a new breath of life being breathed into, yes, money, but also into my love, into my masculine, into my feminine, which of course ripples out into all of my life areas, right? The Hierophant, to me, in this particular layout, was talking a lot about, and again, notice how he's kitty corner from the High Priestess, right? They both have the pillars. It is, again, the masculine, the feminine. I think this is also telling me that when this shifts, it's going to allow my masculine to be able to have a break, because my feminine is going to become more proactive in a balanced way. I would also say that the Hierophant is just confirming and validating for me that the things that I've been doing around my money, which is giving it more structure, more I guess going at it with that more of a masculine energy from what we would label it that way as in this older paradigms, right? But it is giving me more of a structured approach, structured setup, making plans, having goals, you know, just getting far more detailed about my finances than what I had before. I would also say it's about its own form of justice happening, which is again another whole story. But I say that also because there's been so much of this in not just this life, but many, many, many lives, right? And this is saying, you know what, you've made it, you've done it. This is at its completion now. You don't have to keep doing this anymore. Which again, it's at a 10, completions. And then we come over to this one. And a lot of people look at this card and say, well, this is somebody who's very stingy, or they're in fear, or they're greedy. And to me, and yes, I realize the page, if you look at it in a numerical linear sense, the page is farther up the line than the 4. However, in this particular reading and how it came forward for me, this is showing me that I've grown from having just that one to expanding into the 4 for 1. So it's showing me there is healing, there is growth in this area for me. But it's also showing me that this new way of looking at it, right? These new perspectives, new understandings, using a using a structure that I'm adjusting to suit and fit me for how I am, and being true to myself, but just taking the concept and the basis of that structure. I've already been able to go from 1 to the 4. And this, how it depicts to me, is this is actually about me being more wise with my finances, more wise with them, more in tune with them, like, and to me it's almost like he's really just kind of looking off into the distance with his money. And to me, in this particular instance, it's like yeah, because I'm really going into thought about, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And if I do that, is this a very wise thing for me to do at this time? Is it aligned? You know what I mean? Which is, again, it's just like anything. You don't want to get too carried away that you get stuck, but it is important to be consciously aware and proactive, which I would have to say are not new concepts, but they are things that I'm being more diligent about in my money practices. Because when I wasn't, I was constantly in this energy of, how am I supposed to move? How can I do anything? I felt very restricted, very unable to shift and change my reality. And even when I was in this, I mean, you can see how her one foot is going forward. She's taking a step. But just think about that for a minute. If you were blindfolded, if you were wrapped, whether they were imagined or real, if you were surrounded by all other directions and the only way you could go was forward, right? You wouldn't even be taking baby steps. You would be taking like micro mini baby steps because you can't see, you can't feel, you can't pivot. Right? So, but this doesn't have to be anymore because I've been doing the work. I've been moving through. I've grown in my ascension and in my journey. This is opening me up to new creativity, new opportunities, new expansion. It's Wands energy, which is Aries, which is very me. This is moving me on. Now, it's interesting because it is at this point where the reading has shifted from me and my journey to me and my true mate coming towards me. Like, I don't have all of this on him, but I do now see. At first it was like, oh, so yeah, it makes sense. It's moving me on, it's moving me forward. And then I saw this one come out, and it was like suddenly they took me back to this one and to the Page of Wands, and I was like, oh. So it's kind of like the merging of our stories, because whatever his story is leading up to this, and then there's my story leading up to this moment, each of us having this moment as individuals, right? Because we haven't met. And now, not in this lifetime anyway, but now we're both on the move. And we're both moving to this point. We're both moving to this point, this moment of time of when we meet. We are each in our own way and variety of cups in this space, right? But then here we go. We have this meeting that takes place. And yes, there's my card that comes up quite frequently in my readings. And as I shared with Shai, this is my hurry up and wait card. Just hurry up, hurry up. Oh, wait. Nope, just wait. And I get this card quite frequently. And in this case, it's saying, yes, it is saying, hold on, just, this is happening, this is coming, it just has to come in the right time. Great. Okay, fine. I get it. Totally understand that. What I find interesting about this is because to me, this is also saying, we each, me and him each, have our own 9 cups. We are each have our own 9 cups already. Right? But then when this meeting happens, it's almost like there's this angelic, it is a very divinely guided coming together. And when we have this meeting, upon that meeting, there is this mixing of that 10th cup, that for each of us, we want that 10th cup. And then there you go. It's the 10 of Cups. Now, even though this seems like, well, why would you be sharing your personal reading with me? This has nothing to do with me. Again, I would ask and invite you to shift your perspective, shift your understanding, and maybe just see if there's anything in there that makes sense to you if it's applied to your own story. By no means, if it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't resonate with you. Then just don't even try. But I'm just saying that I just felt prompted to share it, and I feel like that it's not about sharing my story per se, as it is maybe there's just different little parts of each of these series that might be applicable to your own story and give you an opportunity for your own aha moments. So with all of that said, that is the completion of part 2 of this 3-part series, and I am going to now get ready to go do part 3. See you there.